I really think that we should change the school lunch, to be honest, because I feel like I'm not getting enough food to fill me up, especially that I'm in sports and for all the other kids that are in sports. I feel like it's too low in the numbers of its nutrition, like the calories, the carbs, whatever, that needs in a human body to work and use the fuel, especially if you have practices or a big game.
You also have to go to make it through a school day.
Make it to a school day
Pass academically.
and help you be mentally more stronger in classes or whatever. Stay focused, have that energy to be focused, and you know, have things done or whatever. And
Yeah, and like 500 calories a day, or 500 calories per
So-
lunch isn't gonna do that.
What was for lunch today?
Today it was
sloppy Joe.
What's the for school lunch today? What was the calorie intake?
so today was sloppy joes. God,
It was like 18.
800.
It was like 1200,
I think close to 8, 7 or 8. I can.
and I think that was the highest
Yeah.
we've ever had.
I think that's one of the higher ones for the whole month. Was 800.
And that's just with one, and students have to.
So yeah, even
Pay
with
for
that, on a
doubles.
day like today, we have students coming in at 6:30 a.m. for their morning lifting. Then you have your from 6:30, you have from that time until your 12:30 lunch to eat again, and then from your 12:30 lunch, if you're playing basketball, your game's not till 8 o'clock tonight, and you're not gonna be able to eat again until 10. So you're going from 12:30 to 10 without eating,
Yeah.
and that's
so,
off of an 800 calorie school lunch.
So today's was 700, and if you do eat a school breakfast, you might be getting 300 from that. So really, that's 1,000 calories, and that's of what this is saying that a student should eat. Like an active male student should eat is
male
22%.
17-year-old student,
So
22% of
yeah.
the recommended calories.
and that's just not enough to get an athlete through the day, plus games, plus practices, and morning lifting if you're doing that.
And then even if you're not looking at the the athletic side, you also got to look at the academic side. Like you're sitting through 5 hours of classes a day off of.
And
Lunch
like,
with no
especially kids who are taking, you know, college classes or whatever, that takes more time into focusing and being like disciplined or whatever. Like it will take not being full and not having like the nutrition you need will take your time out of like doing your work because you need to go get more food because you're hungry, and school is not providing as much as like an average teenager
I
should.
think out of that 700 calories, like that's if you include everything in the lunch.
Yeah, it's all
What,
full
like-
portions is what it says on here.
Not every student likes everything that comes in that lunch. Like, is everybody going to
Yeah.
eat everything that comes with it? I'd say almost on average, you're probably getting 500 calories every school lunch.
And then you can also say like people will say, "Oh, bring your own lunch or bring school lunches." If I'm not getting home on a game night till 11
Yeah.
o'clock, I'm not gonna have time to go make my school lunch for the next day.
And then you also have people like your good athletes are going to be going to the gym. Whether that's afterwards, you're not going to have time to make a lunch.
Yeah.
After you get home, and then you have athletes coming in at 6:30 in the morning to lift in the mornings. You're not going to have time before that with still getting an adequate amount of sleep.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it should be more like a multiple choice in food wise, because not all students in schools do sports, whatever, and they can pick how much like they want to eat to make them full or whatever they feel best like. And a good athlete or just normal athlete, whatever, that knows they have a game, practice, and needs to be full, they have the choice to pick their food and how much they want in order to have that food to fuel them for later, and not have to worry about, you know, starving or whatever during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's just kind of the schools. They're not providing these athletes enough for them to do all this stuff and so progress with their sports and be the best they can be, without giving them the right amount of protein, calories, carbs, all this stuff they need throughout their days.
And it's also a lot when you have your coaches, your coaches are always preaching lifting and practicing, but without food, all that lifting's not even doing anything for your body almost.
Yeah. I know for you're supposed to eat. So for me, if I'm 180 pounds, I should be eating like 80 to 100 grams of protein a day. a lot of these meals aren't even getting like.
All right. So Ben, how do you feel about the school lunches and their nutrition?
It's tough because the government and everything they put like stipulations on what schools can offer for lunch, so it's tough for schools to make sure they're providing everything right that fits the guidelines that the government is providing. So we can't sell certain things that kids have in their lunches can't be over a certain amount of like sugar and calories and all those different things. I don't think that we are fitting necessarily the nutrients, like as far as like macronutrients like protein, carbs, fat, like everything that athletes, especially being at a small school, a lot of our kids play 3 or 4 sports and they have very high like dietary demands just from practicing so much. Training, they need a little bit more fuel. So in order for most of our kids to get that, they're gonna have to pay for doubles or pay for multiple lunches. So I think we could probably do a little bit better job of maybe providing kids with a little bit more during the school day. That also does fall on the kids as well, as where they need to probably prepare themselves a little bit better, and whether that's bringing school lunches or bringing snacks to eat during the day. I don't think it necessarily falls all on the school. It's definitely the athletes need to take ownership of that as well, but I do think that we can do a little bit better job of providing a little bit more.
Yeah, and then on top of students bringing in their own lunches, what else do you think would be good steps moving forward?
We've actually been talking about a couple different steps. You can actually see down there, we've ordered some beef sticks. We haven't started selling them yet, but that's an option where kids can buy a beef stick for $1 to get a little bit extra protein in during the day. We've had conversations with Mr. Gray in the business office where we're working on getting a vending machine in that would have different options for athletes to have during the school day. It's still working on that, but there are steps have been taken. They've looked at purchasing one. I think we are going to get one. It's not if, it's when. So looking at different options to provide athletes with that so they can have stuff to fuel themselves throughout the day.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, introduce yourself.
My name is Gavin Kramer.
And what sports you play?
Football, baseball, basketball, and track.
All right, Mike.
My name is Michael. I play basketball, football, track, golf, and baseball.
All right, so as athletes, how do you feel about the nutrition in school lunches?
I think it's really bad. I think we need food to be able to go to school all day and have practice afterwards and not feel awful afterwards.
I kind of agree with Gavin. I feel like there should be more like choices to pick from. There's not that many choices, not giving enough carbs.
Not enough variety.
Yeah.
Also, this food is just pretty bad in general.
All right, so on average, how many calories would you say you eat in a normal day? On like a weekend without school lunch?
I'm not a great cook, so I also don't have a big variety, but I'd have to say probably about 3,500 probably.
I don't even know, honestly.
So on average, a school lunch is like 700 calories.
I feel like that's higher than I thought it would have been. I
So
thought it
like
would have been
our lowest is like, that we found was 500 calories.
Was it the Max Six?
No, we didn't look at this.
It was like the
Garlic
garlic
French bread pizza was 500,
Really?
and then what was the
The
800?
highest was I think it's Sloppy Joe.
Sloppy Joe was 800. So moving forward, what do you think? What do we need to do?
I think we need a bigger variety. I think we need to just have like better lunches in general because the food is like pretty bad. Like orange chicken, you think would be good, it's awful.
That's like the only good one.
Well, it should be good, but it's not.
All right.
Max Sticks is like a tiny
Yeah. I think
meal.
it should just be,
It's
like,
definitely not a
bigger
meal
meals.
for a teenager, and you're not given a variety or anything.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that. Like, you gotta play natural if he's gonna record. Like, are you gonna edit this?
I'm already. It's going.
But are you gonna edit it? Is what I'm saying.
Potentially, if I learn how, I don't know how.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we're recording now.
Like, I don't know. So I don't know, like, what the guidelines, the federal government guidelines are for a school lunch. So I can't give a honest, unbiased answer without knowing those. So I think that's something also that you guys have to deal with, like what are the guidelines for school lunch? Like what is the max value that they can serve calorie-wise? to the general student public. Because athlete or not, like, no matter if you're a 1-sport athlete or a 4-sport athlete, like, the lunch ladies have to follow your general population of your students.
Yeah.
So whatever the max value is, then let's say, and I'm just throwing a random number, let's say 1,200 calories is the max.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying on average, you're looking at, let's say, over half of that you're getting in a lunch.
Yeah.
You know, so the constraints sometimes can be what the menu items are. It can also be like the cost per lunch per kid. So you have some constraints there. So like I said, I can't give an unbiased answer without knowing those things. And I think as you guys dig in, like, those are honest questions that you guys should also look at.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a valid, I don't want to say an argument, but it is kind of a concern, because think about like a day like today. So if, for example, if Coach Hildren had the weight room open this morning, if somebody came in this morning and is a basketball player, especially a boys basketball player, you're at school from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m.,
Yeah.
you know, and you're getting one provided lunch, and then whatever else garbage you guys buy on the flip side at the C-store.
Yeah.
So I think there is, like, there's good effort behind what you guys are trying to get to
Mm-hmm.
in your research in that. But I also think from your standpoint of, this is, you said English comp or American writing. So for your class though, also is getting all your facts that you need.
Yeah.
Like, and that goes back to what is the max caloric level that they can serve in a lunch? What is the minimum number of calories they can provide a kid? And then also probably what it costs per lunch.
Yeah.
So in general though, do you think, like without knowing all the regulations, do you think that an athlete does need more than 600 calories or?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say an athlete, but a person who is active. You know,
Yeah.
obviously they set a standard for somebody who is active,
Yeah.
you know, throughout the day, like how many calories you should have if you're this type of age group and activity level. And some of it falls, I will be honest, some of it probably falls on the student or student athlete to supplement a school lunch.
What do you think about like students having to pay to get doubles, to get like obviously more food? Because
Do you pay more at McDonald's when you want more food than what's on the regular combo meal?
no.
You
Yeah.
steal?
Well, I don't
You
pay.
do, but you also have to think like a combo meal is filling me up. The McDonald's
So,
1,800 calorie combo meal might
But-
fill me up more than the 600 calorie.
but then
chicken strips.
I would argue this though with you, Santi, is that how many of our kids after school go straight to the C-store? Like, you're still purchasing
Mm,
the purchase side of it.
yeah.
Yeah, one, you're purchasing because you're hungry, probably. I get that, but you're still purchasing. So if you get doubles at lunch, you should still purchase. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just eat more lettuce.
I think.
So, what's the point of view of Mr. Hansen talking about how the government, like, there's restrictions coming from the government on how much a school can really feed you? He also talks about how you can pack your own lunch, but there's also a lot of kids out there who can't really afford their own lunch, or you can get doubles, but there's also kids whose parents won't let them because they can't afford it. And then on top of that, like even just snacks and stuff. Then back to the government restraints, I think, like he said, even if it's up to like 1,200 calories, the school's still only giving us at the most 800. And I mean, even if there's restraints, I think the school should be trying as hard as they can to meet the
guidelines.
like the maximum that the school can give us.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think could be very, stressful, especially because there's guidelines and there's a limit you can't pass
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not something that the
unless
school can really
unless you
control.
reach out and really have to make a big change, which should happen because students need more.
Right.
Yeah, and there's
More
like
food.
there is things they can do, like what Ben was saying, getting a vending machine. stuff like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, selling the
Stuff
beef
that we
sticks,
can
getting
do,
a
like-
vending machine.
I'm glad Ben's pushing for that stuff, but I know Benson mentioned the C-store, and I just feel like, yeah, you can go to the C-store, but it's normally junk food.
It's
You're not
it's
gonna eat a
all
lot,
bad
and it's
food.
expensive, and it's really not attainable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's just,
If you go down, if you go down to get an actual meal, it's $10, and then if you're buying that every single day, you just spent $50 a week because the school lunch was filling you up, and you're also paying for the school lunch.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the school should really realize and look into that. We're up at 7 in the morning, maybe even earlier than that, for students to get here, or early training, early practices, whatever. And you're throughout that whole day at school, and you're you can be stressed out about the work you have to do and get done, and then you have to worry about how much you eat, and then you have to worry about the sports you're in, how much work you're putting in, the big game that you have tonight or tomorrow. All that is building up in stress, and then even more that you have to find a time to get a full course meal, a full meal,
Yeah.
to benefit your body and benefit your future. And
Yeah.
So,
So.
yeah, and if we look at what Gavin and Mike were saying, they 100% agree with us.
Mhm.
They think that the school lunches aren't having enough nutrients, protein, all that. I think that they're pretty bad. And Gavin, one of our top athletes at the school, is saying that it's clearly a problem. And we're having not just us, but most of the athletes.
Yeah, and then Santi, and when you're in season, walk us through a day of school and when you're eating and what you're eating.
So, let's say football season, you start going to school, you gotta wake up. I wake up, obviously, make sure I eat breakfast, because sometimes you can't get breakfast at school because there's a time limit, whatever.
Yeah.
And, if you miss on that, you have to wait until lunch.
So
I wait
at what
until-
time would you say you eat breakfast?
I'd say 8 to 8, or 8:10, whatever. They close at 8:15.
Yeah, 7:45 to
Yeah.
8:20, I think.
So that, and then I have to go throughout school. Obviously throughout the school, what I eat for breakfast is whatever. They close at 8:15.
Yeah, 7:45 to
Yeah.
8:20, I think.
So that, and then I have to go throughout school. Obviously throughout the school, what I eat for breakfast it's burning down the fuel.
Yeah, you have
Are
4
we
hours of
using it?
classes to get through. What you eat for
Yeah,
breakfast.
and then I have lunch, and sometimes lunch doesn't provide as much as I want to, for practice, for football, and it's outside. It could be really hot. You're working out in helmet, pads, you're sprinting, you're standing out there in the sun, you're burning all the fuel you ate, and sometimes, most of the time, it's
Yeah.
not enough.
Especially
What the
with
food
when we have our
provides.
late practices, a 5 to 7 practices
Yeah.
or whatever. You're not getting home till
Yeah,
decently
which a
late.
lot of people would say that'd be a good time to go to the C-store and grab a snack, but then you also gotta still think financially,
If you're in a sport, you're not gonna have very much time to work.
yeah, so a normal day for me, I wake up at about 5, and then I eat a decent breakfast, and then I work at 6, and I don't get off work till 7:45, 8. So at that point I have to come straight to school, and then, so I haven't eaten since 5:30, and I have to make it to 12:30 to eat lunch at the school, and then from that point, I have to make it from 12:30 to 5:30 at the earliest for practice to get done, so I'm not even eating again till 6 o'clock, and the 700 calorie meal from 12:30 to 5:30 just isn't enough.
Also, off we're talking about if athletic directors or whatever, people say just go to the C-store or something, get a quick snack or something like that, because you're not getting enough, whatever. But it's every single day that you have to do that, and every
Yeah,
single
it's
day
not
you're gonna be
attainable.
wasting money.
It adds up really quick.
And by a week or so, you're gonna be wasting all your money trying to fill yourself up and have I don't feel energized right now, so I have to go get something from the C-store.
Yeah.
But if it's like that every day, because the school doesn't give you enough food,
Probably
Yeah,
spend
you're
$30
spending
a
more,
week.
you're spending a lot of money.
And even on days you have rebel fee, if if you're doing morning lifting relatively and a practice, and then a lot of kids go in the gym after the practice,
Yeah.
it's so much exercise, so much activity, that if you're not fueling your muscles with an adequate amount of protein, you're not gonna see growth. Which obviously our schools should support, athletes they should support, are like us trying to improve and do what we can to improve. If they're gonna keep preaching gym,
Yeah, they
outside
preach,
school
they
all the
preach it
time.
a lot, but they kind of just don't back it up as much.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad that Ben, who's obviously the strength coach, he's pushing for a vending machine, which is
Yeah,
great.
they're pushing for a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Good.